Hi, welcome back. This series is about yoga meditation. Yoga is very maligned in the West. It's very misunderstood. Most people think of a yogi or someone who does yoga as someone who does hatha yoga. A good-looking person, younger person, carrying a yoga mat under their arm, wearing some special clothing, going to yoga clubs and doing physical asanas, which are the different forms, physical forms of yoga. That's not what this is about. This is about yoga meditation. And yoga meditation comes from the writings of a man who lived, depending on who you listen to, somewhere between 2200, 2500 years ago. And his name is either pronounced Patanjali or Patanjali, depending on who you listen to. His teachings are called the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, or Patanjali. And these teachings are really very core to the whole idea of yoga. And there are several things that come out of these teachings. First of all, it is not aligned with any particular religion. So there's a misconception in the West that, in fact, yoga is Hindu. That's not true. It's not aligned with any religion at all. It is a very interesting form of meditation, one that has existed, some say, for as long as 5,000 years. In fact, archaeologists can point to sculptures in stone of people sitting in yoga meditation that are 5,000 years old and being dated as that old. The word itself, yoga, comes from the Sanskrit word to join or to yoke yourself to something. Some have said that this is joining yourself to the infinite. Some have said that it's joining yourself to God, the Lord of compassion. It really depends on who you read. Patanjali, the book that I'm going to refer to quite a bit in this series, did actually say that it was joining yourself to God. But other writers who were equally as well known as Patanjali have said that that is not necessarily true, that it is about joining yourself to creating this union between your mind and the infinite, this infinite power of positive goodness that exists within the universe. Other people have argued that, in fact, what yoga is about, the joining, this yoking within yoga, is actually bringing together the nature and the spirit. And so that by combining these two, our spiritual selves and the nature, the natural environment that we live in, that by integrating these two, we become one and we become enlightened. And that word enlightened is something that we'll deal with a little later in the series. So Patanjali is well known for his sutras, and as we'll go through some of the teachings in the sutras as they relate particularly to yoga meditation, he really talks about yoga as being a way of life. It is not a religion, as I mentioned earlier. It is a way of life. It's a way of disciplining the mind, disciplining the body, disciplining your breath, and disciplining the way that you interact with others so that you become kinder and more compassionate in your life. And in the process, you become awake. Again, the term that the Buddha used, awakening, is the term that Patanjali uses. Patanjali talks about and introduces, I think for the first time in writing anywhere, the word Om, as in A-U-M, not the O-M version. A-U-M being the three letters in Sanskrit representing body, mind, spirit, and representing God, a union with God. And so there is the Om meditation, which we'll talk about as well in this series. There are many parallels. Patanjali talks about yoga helping the individual to align themselves with the Supreme Being, with this infinite positive force within the universe, and as such be able to become perfect. It is similar to the Buddhist concept of the six perfections. It is similar to the Christian concept of becoming perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. And so we begin to see these similarities, these themes occurring in Christianity, Buddhism, and yoga as being the three key practices of meditation. I was going to say religion, but not so much as the practices that bring you to become a better person, become a kinder person, and to align yourself with compassion. Patanjali came up with, or documented anyway, the 8 limbs of yoga. He talks about the 8-limb yoga, and those limbs we will talk about within this series, the 8 components. But for now, I'm just going to read them out to you. The first is self-control, or yama, Y-A-M-A. The second are rules for regulating your life, or niyama. The third are the body postures, or asanas. And this is the Hatha yoga. This is the yoga that is perceived in the West. In fact, the fourth limb is breath control, or pranayama. The fifth is control of the senses, or pratyahara. Again, as we've talked about in Buddhism, the control of the senses, the 5 senses, and the way that you can control your thoughts by looking at the way that your senses perceive things and the thoughts emerge from those perceptions. The sixth is concentration, or dharana, and that's, again, in Buddhism, concentration is a very important component of learning to meditate and to focus. And we'll talk about how that is done and the different practices that you can follow to achieve that level of concentration. The seventh is meditation, or dhyana, and that form of meditation is unique to yoga. It's very similar to some of the Buddhist meditations and to some of the Christian meditations, but we'll talk about specifically the yoga meditation techniques and how that they can be helpful in ways that we'll talk about in this series. And the 8th practice, or limb of yoga, is finally to achieve union with the Supreme Being, with the infinite positive force in the universe, and to achieve what is known as samadhi. So that's our path through this series. It's an exploratory series. It's to help you understand a little more about yoga and meditation. And many people in the West think of yoga, they think of the Hatha yoga, they think of the asanas. That's only one of the 8 limbs of yoga, and we need to talk about some of the others, and we need to focus on 2 in particular, and that's the dhyana, the yoga meditation, and dharana, the form of concentration, both of which lead to samadhi. So enjoy the series, be well, be happy, meditate. Really, start that meditation habit daily if you haven't done already. Start to make notes, start to write in your journal, and hopefully you can achieve many of the benefits that meditation will bring. A reduction in stress, particularly, but also the ability to overcome your demons. The things, the emotions, the feelings that dominate us. That's really what we're trying to do in meditation. And as we can do that, as we overcome those things that have a hold on us, we become free. And by becoming free, we're open to being able to help other people. And so that's our goal. And we will continue the search, continue this process, of going through the different forms of meditation. And hopefully you will find, along the way, you will find one that really appeals to you, and then you will go with that and you'll focus on that. Be well, be happy, and meditate. Thank you.